Yeah. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So last session we learned about module system, and we are learning about JavaScript, how to handle object-oriented programming, and in this we discussed about uh, modules, and we learned how to use ES modules. ES modules, these are also called as JavaScript module system, ES module system. In this, how you configure, we configure by using export, and we use what? Import. So I showed you how to design modules and use them by using a module system of ES. Generally, when you are using client-side JavaScript client-side contains it need to run on browser. Then it uses which module system? It uses an ES module system. In ES module system, in a module, whatever members you define to use them outside, you have to mark them as what? Export. To use them in any another location, you have to use which statement? Import. We have to use export and import. Now today we will see how to work with CJS system. CJS is the common JS. That is the module system available with Node. Node uses common JS module system. Here, how you configure, use server side, we will see. Client side, I showed you one example. You tried, I showed you an example of addition, multiplication, importing, exporting in pages. Have you tried? So here, today we will see common JS module system. Common JS module system. Anywhere in a module system, whether you are using CJS or common JS, what is a module? Module comprises of a set of values, functions, and classes. We will have a set of values, functions, and classes in a module. So which one you consider as a module? Every JavaScript file is considered as a module. You have to consider JavaScript file as module. So here also same. So module is a set of values, functions, and classes. CJS module refers to a JavaScript file with extension .js or .cjs. With extension JS or CJS. JavaScript file with extension .js or CJS. So here, so the members in module are marked with exports. The members in module are marked with exports. Are marked with exports keyword. They are marked with exports keyword. We have to mark with exports keyword. So what we have to do, exports syntactically, export reference name is equal to, you have a function. You can configure any function. Now, how to import and use this function? To import and use the function, so you can import and use from any location by using require method. We have to use the require method. You can import and use from any location by using require method. By using require method. That means what we have to do is, we have to create a reference is equal to require, and you have to define the module name. Require module name. So require module name. So that module is imported, and whatever members are present in the module, so whatever members are present inside the module, in this module, whatever members are present, you can access by using what? Reference. Why constant? That's a traditionally constant, because if I use var let, I can shadow if it is var. You learned now? JavaScript allows shadowing, it hoisting mechanism. Modules, once you import, cannot be shadowed. You cannot shadow them. We must restrict them not to assign. Not only shadow, you cannot assign. Once you assigned a particular memory, you cannot assign another. One module you assign, you should not able to assign any another module into it. That's the reason better always configure with what? Constant. You can use anything, even var also. Now one more option is, here while allocating memory, we are not using new keyword. Generally, when you allocate memory, you already learned. So var reference is equal to new array. Am I right? So var reference is equal to new. So suppose it is date. Now, what is the significance of new? What happens if I don't use new while allocating memory? The purpose of new in the memory allocation means dynamic memory. It means dynamic memory. If you are not using new, means what? Static memory. Static memory means memory allocated for the first request. The same memory will be used across requests. That is actually static. Dynamic means memory is newly allocated every time. Every time memory is newly allocated. So which memory now allocated? Static memory. That means memory allocated for this module, it will be same across any number of requests. So there is no new keyword here. So it is a static memory. Okay. Now all the members of this module are accessible by using this. There is another technique. That means now what is the point? Ref. This ref can access all members. There is another one. Constant reference is equal to require and dot slash module name, and we can use here dot the function name. You can define the function name or class name. We can directly import that here. Now reference contains not all functions. Reference contains only one function. You can have only one function inside the reference. Later you can use the class name so that it will import only that particular class. So first, let's see how this module system works. How the module system is going to work. See, in our previous example, we used the module system ES, that is JavaScript module system. So let's open our project. This is our project, server app. In this server app, now let's go to calculator. Now calculator is empty. Calculator.js, it is empty. In this, we need to configure exports. Exports, we have any reference name. So first locally, I am declaring var title is equal to calculator app. It is just like what you learned. First variable, it's a local one. We have to use exports keyword. Exports dot reference name. Reference name I am giving edition is equal to, what is it? Function. And what this function have to do? It should take two values and it should return a plus b. Once I defined this exports keyword, you see some information is present here. These three dots indicates some information is there. When I move the mouse, it says that file is which module? Common.js module. It may convert to an ES module also later. Currently, it is directly a Common.js module. Once I used export, that is ES module. I am using CJS exports, then it is an CJS module. And suppose I am writing exports. So we have multiply. So function. So we have a function multiply, and multiply is using a comma b and return a into b. Like this I am writing just like previous. Now there is a problem. This is not defined because in every Common.js module system, you need all these members to configure, with a reference name using exports. Exports is expecting a dynamic name. All functions, all classes must be defined as an expression. Expression returns a value. Generally in JavaScript, you learned function can be defined in two ways. What are those? Function declaration, another one function expression. So here everything should be an expression syntax, right? Declarations, for that we need to enable other rules. We will see in later stage how do we do that. As of now, so you cannot write exports and directly this. Either it is export. Now when you write export, it is an ES module system, right? Then how do you configure? We have to configure like this. What is it? Exports multiply is equal to what? Function. It is going to perform this functionality. So this is common JS module system. We configured functions. Where you want to use them? I want to use in app.js because I don't want in a browser. I want in a server side these modules. Last session we learned client side in browser. Server side we need to define here. So what is the concept of importing here? How do you import? We need a constant reference name. Reference name, I will give a library, some name is equal to, we have to use which method? Require. Require, what is the module name? Module is dot slash, what is the module name? Calculator is the module name. You don't need to mention file name, just only module name. In that module, you have some members, you can access them directly. We can access them directly. Or we just define here through this library, you can access all. Suppose here I am using another exports title is print title. So print title. Exports print title is a function. And what this function have to do, it should return the title. We are just using it. Now we want to access and use them here. Now it's ready. Through this library, you can access all and see calculator is a module. Every file is considered as a module. The file name is used as module name. Whatever name you give for the file, it is considered as module. Now the members of that module are accessible here. So what to do now? We have to use it. And you observe here, it is library, it is simply like import. It is simply like import. Through that you can access. Okay, how do we access? Here I cannot use any DOM methods. Alert, confirm, prompt, or document.write. You cannot use any DOM methods because you are using server side. Server side, it is using JavaScript, but it is not using any DOM. DOM or BOM. It is not using any DOM or BOM. What does it means? You have to use JavaScript only as a language. You cannot use any of the DOM methods here. Document get element by ID or document.write or alert or prompt. Why? Because actually you learned in JavaScript alert. It belongs to which object? Alert belongs to window object, window.alert. Am I right? Alert, confirm, prompt, all these. So here there is no browser window. There is no browser. We are using only server. So here output you can use console.log. Console log is the output. It is the output method you can use. So in this, what is the message? Message is what? I want to print title. To print title, I can access title by using library dot print title is a function. This print title function will print the title. /n will put a new line. Here I want edition. Then what we have to do? Library dot what? Edition. Into that you pass two values, 50, 20. That's it. You can use all the functions whatever you define. Now it is ready. How to run this and see? We are not using anywhere in the browser. Server side, how to run? To run server side, already I told you that server side Node.js uses a compiler. Node.js is built with which compiler? V8. There are so many JavaScript compilers like Babel, V8. These are compilers. Actually, you see, so Babel is very popular JavaScript compiler. This is Babel. Babel is a popular JavaScript compiler. In future, when you are learning Angular, React, Vue, they all use this compiler very much. They all use a compiler called Babel. Babel is one JavaScript compiler, and Node.js is inbuilt having a compiler called V8. Node.js is completely built on a V8 compiler. It is a Google Chrome compiler actually. So how do you access the Node compiler is, you open the terminal. Where is this app.js? You see app.js is in src na. Make sure that here you change into that src. Currently you are in which folder? Server app cd src. It will change into src. In which folder you kept the file? From that folder you have to compile. From outside also we can compile. That is risky every time. Lengthy path you have to write every time. Better you do that. Now here how to compile and run. How to compile and run our app.js. This is the file which is having all your logic. So how to run it? Using Node. Node is a Node compiler. Node is a Node compiler. JavaScript server side can be compiled by using this Node compiler. Node, what is the file name? File name is what? app.js. When you hit enter, this app.js, it is going to run and show the result. The result will be displayed in command line. So you are not showing in a browser. Actually, what we do, all the logic we write server side, whatever results we get, we will send it to client. So when client makes a request comes to us, we will process the request server side, we generate a response, we send the response to the client. And to accept request from client and to send response to the client, you need APIs. That you will do later. After learning Node.js, you will do later. Currently, you learn two techniques. Either you create a script client side and run it client side, or create a script server side, run it server side. There is no communication between client and server, which we will establish later. In the next level, we will take input from the user, process it in the server side, and generate a response and send back to the client. For that, next technique will come. As of now, this is which module system? CJS. Whether you are using ES module, CJS module, UMD, AMD, all these are important. UMD, AMD also uses same export and import methods, import techniques. But common JS uses which one? Require. It uses require and it uses what? Exports. So This is a basic example of how do we use common JS system. How do you use the common JS system? So in this another point, you have to compile and run. You have to compile and run JavaScript programs server side by using Node compiler. So Node uses Google Chrome's V8 compiler. And a very important note, you cannot use any of the BOM and DOM methods of JavaScript server side. You can use JavaScript only as language server side. You cannot use any of the DOM or BOM, browser object model, document object model. So browser object model and document object model. These are DOM methods means, as I showed, explained all those alerts, window, document write and all. Only we have to use console. Now many people have a doubt like servers, how to input. We don't input here. Input comes from where? Client. What server will do? Server will accept the input from the client. It will process it. It will return the results and send back to the client. Here there is no input method. So we have to take input from console if you want. So later we will see how to handle that. But now this is how Node.js uses its modules. Node.js uses which module system? Common JS. And how the library is configured and how it is imported and used. So I will give one example here. The example first is I will copy the code that we created in src folder calculator.what.js. In src calculator.js, I will copy this code. This is the code. So this is the code you need to keep in calculator file. Now we need to create another file in src, which one? app.js. In that we have to import and we need to use it. You have to import and use it. We are importing the calculator module. Its members can be accessible by using this reference. And you can access the data, communicate and use it. This is the concept of how a module system actually works in application, client side and server side. In a module, now another important concept is in a module, we usually have classes. Another important concept, class in object-oriented programming. Already clearly we know JavaScript is not a OOP, but some concepts of OOP are provided here. So what is the role of class and how this class actually works? What is the concept of class? In a module, you can have functions, you can have classes, or you can have directly some values. If anyone asks what are the members of a module? Three. What are those? Values, functions and classes. Functions and classes. As I already explained, classes are very good for reusability, extensibility, clean separation. They are very good. They provide good features for that, but problem is they are little heavy when compared to functions. That's the reason in modern JavaScript programming we avoid using class and we depend on functions. But in some stages, functions, they cannot handle certain situation which we manage by using what? Class. So that is the reason you will not say that we will completely eliminate the classes. We can eliminate without classes also we can do. But in some situations where class is a good behavior, class is good in that particular functionality, we better use class. That is the reason I showed you the official website of React. What they mentioned, we still support classes in React through JavaScript, but we don't recommend you to use classes. Have you seen? I showed you now. In their official website, what they say that very good classes, we will support them, but we don't recommend them. Why we don't recommend them? Because they are little heavy when compared, but they have some good features. So what is a class and how to use them in here? Let's see what is a class and how we can use in OOP. Actually, technically, class is a program template. Class is a program template. Technically, class is a program template. It is a program template. What is meant by template? It provides some predefined logics and functionality which you can customize according to your requirement and you can use in any location. That means a template means a predefined logic and functionality which you can implement by customizing according to your requirements. That is the concept of class. Actually, uh, people who learn OOP, they have different terms about class. Like some people call class as a blueprint. Majority people call that. When we ask what is a class to a Java, C++ people, learners, they will say class is a blueprint. But actually, class is more than that. Actually, class is having a behavior of blueprint, but technically you should not call as a blueprint. Then what we should call class technically? We should call class technically as what? Program template. Program template. Actual concept is how this concept of class came. It is a part of OOP. A small brief history I will give here. LNK. LNK in 1960s he developed a concept called object. He developed the concept of object. The purpose of object is to keep all related data and logic in one place. You can keep all the data and logic in one place. He developed that concept. After that, Johann Ole and Christian Nygaard, these two people in 1967, they developed object-oriented programming with a language called Simula. Simula 67, it is the first object-oriented programming language. They developed a concept of object-oriented programming. The main purpose of object-oriented programming is code reusability. They developed code reusability. They used that with a language called Simula 67. The first object-oriented programming language is Simula. It was in early 1960s. So these two people developed the OOP concepts, object-oriented programming. Actually, Simula is nothing but simulation system means, so you have a device. In that device, suppose we are having one processor, two processor, three processors, just roughly. Suppose we are having three processors. This is some processor. So we have processors here. We are having three processors. Usually devices, so this is a processor. Now what happens is they have to start this device which is having multiple processors. They have to work in that environment. Usually we call computers like mini mainframe supercomputers. They are built with multiple processors. They have more than one processor. In your computers, you will have only one processor, laptops, desktop, but usually you have hundreds of processors in a device. We can have multiple processors. Then how this processor will work is, they work with a mechanism called simulation system. Simulation system means this processor will activate this processor, and this will activate this processor, and this will again send the message to this processor. That means first processor will start, it will simulate the second one. Second will start and it will simulate the third. Like that, entire system starts. It will take some time to start entire system. This is simulation system. In this simulation system, what is the problem is, these people while working on simulation system, they have to write some code here. And they want that same code every place. Then they have to write again and again. That means they need to write this code here. They have to write the code here. 10 places they want the code. They have to write the code 10 times. If they want to modify the code, they have to modify 10 times. To overcome this problem, they developed a concept of class. What is the concept of class is? They can logically keep all the data in one place. They can access from that place. From anywhere they can access and use it. This enables code reusability. Who invented that concept? Johann Ole, Christian Nygaard. These people developed the concept of code reusability. And it was first implemented with which language? It was implemented with the Simula 67. After that, what happened is, after Simula, actually Simula introduced code reusability. After that, try give in 1970s, he developed the concept of code separation. He invented a concept called MVC. MVC is Model View Controller. That means front end, back end, this concept he invented. That means earlier application was only one. He invented the concept of front end and back end, separating UI layer, separating data layer, communicating between data and UI layer. He invented. We call him father of MVC, model view controller. Even today, Java, .NET, Python, PHP all uses his architecture. Java uses his architecture by name Spring. Spring. They use by using Spring. .NET uses by name ASP.NET MVC. Python uses by name Django. So PHP uses by name Cake PHP Code Igniter. So even today, the modern generation completely working on his architecture. All applications. He developed it for desktop. Now we are using for mobile applications. He developed the concept of code separation, and Nygaard and John Ole, they developed code reusability. Code reusability they invented, code separation he invented. Now the modern applications are using both of them. After that, in 1970s, in the early 1970s only, C++ came. After that, in 1990s, so Java came. After that, in early 2003, C# came. These are the world's popular OOP languages currently. C++, Java, C#, these are the world popular OOP languages. In the current software market, the major OOP languages are these three. We have C++, we have Java, another one C#. So many people, OOP means they know about only C++, but OOP is there before C++ was born. And many people think that object comes from a class, but object is there before class was invented. Even CSS also uses object. You know CSS object model, na? CSS also uses object. So object is not a concept of OOP, right? So OOP came from object. Actually, this is the basic evolution. So a just brief history to make you understand actually what it is. Because when you ask what is the first OOP language, everybody starts with C++. But before that, there are so many. Even today, we use the same kind of architecture. Even today, we use the similar architecture. So the main concept, so class is what? Program template. What is the purpose of class? To keep a set of members so that they are cleanly separated, they can be easily reused, they can be easily extended. Code reusability, code separation, code extensibility, we can easily achieve by using what? Class. That is the basic point about it. Then why people call different ways? Actually, here one more point is there. Generally what we do, we keep all the logic in a class. We will have class and class name. We will keep all the logic in a class. And if you want to access and use from anywhere, then what we do? We will create an object for that class. Through that object, we can access all the members of the class. That means whenever you want to use these class members, you have to create an object. Through that object, you can access the members of class. There are so many more points I will explain here. The point is, when developers write a class, he writes for different reasons. A class contains logic. Depending on what kind of logic he written, for which purpose he written, classes have different names. That means for which purpose a class is written, what functionality a class does. Based on that, classes are divided into different, means classes are referred with different names. Actually, suppose our developer is writing a class. We have two requirements. One is we have a database, and we have another one is business. We have database and we have business requirements. We have two requirements. We return a class, and this class is written for interacting with the database. That means now class contains all the logic related to interaction with the data. Reading the data, inserting data, updating data, deleting data, such logics are present. Then this class is considered as, it is considered as model. Class is considered as a model. If a class is designed for interacting with the database or data, if it is designed for data requirements, then class is considered as a model. If class is designed for interacting with business, not with the data. Business means other interactions which are not related to data. There are so many interactions which doesn't require any data. Without data, we need to manage several interactions. If a class is designed not for data, it is designed for general interactions, business interactions, then it is called as entity. Then it is called as entity. That means usually people call class as a model. That is okay. People call class as an entity. That is also okay. People call class as a template. That is correct. And if anybody calls class as a blueprint, that is also okay. But what is the correct definition? Is a class model every time? Is a class model every time? No. Class is considered as a model only when it is having data related logic. Is class entity every time? No. It is called as an entity when it is having the logic related to business. If class is not a model every time, if it is not a entity every time, then what it is? It is a template. Now, to use the class, we need to create objects. Suppose I want to use the class 10 times. Then what we have to do? We have to create 10 objects. obj1, obj2, obj3. All these objects are used in different places, but they are coming from only one. They are coming only from one reference. Then in this case, now what is this class for these objects? This class is acting like a blueprint. Understood? As a blueprint. Blueprint means the main source from where everything comes. That is a blueprint. For example, you have a certificate. You take 100 Xerox copies of certificate. All these 100 Xerox copies are objects, and the original certificate is a blueprint. Am I right? From one blueprint, you can take any number of copies. You can use those copies anywhere you want, but all these copies comes from only one blueprint. Class behaves like that. That is the reason people call class as a blueprint. But actually it is not technical. Technically, you should not say class as a blueprint. Better always say class as a program template. Program template. You can say class as model when you are writing for data. Entity when you are writing for business. Right? So many names are there for a class. You should know all of them. Why people call in different ways. But the original is different. Right? Now let's take a point about these concepts. So class is a program template. It comprises of predefined data and logic. which you can customize and implement according to the requirements. Class is referred as model when it is mapping to data requirements. Class is referred as entity when it is mapping to business requirements. Business requirements are nothing but all other requirements which are not related to data. That means they don't have to do anything with data, but they have to do some other interactions inside the app. Then they are called as what? Business. So class is having of loop behavior. Class is having behavior as blueprint. Class is having behavior as blueprint. It is used for creating multiple instances. It is used for creating multiple instances. Right. So class enables features like reusability, separation, extensibility, testability. Reusability, separation, extensibility, and testability. And just a brief evolution. I'll just give a evolution of OOP. Just a brief outline. Alan Kay introduced object in early 1960s. Christian Nygaard introduced object-oriented programming in early 1967. Simula is the first OOP language. Code reusability. After that, TryGive introduced code separation using MVC, model view controller. In early 1970s. Code separation. So after that, C++ in 1970s, Java in 1990s, and C# in 2000. So these are popular OOP languages. The popular OOP languages. So actually, Trigue is the person who invented the separation, means back end, front end, those separations he developed. He invented that concept. Earlier, everything was at one place and it is very difficult to manage. He was working on a project, British Petroleum application. And when he is working on that, he faced the issue that application is having all the logic one place. It is difficult. Which one data related, which one user interface related, everything mixed with one. He separated it by using a framework called what? MVC. Actually, we have his original document. This is the Trigue actually. Trigue original documentation is present. This is Trigue. Right. So this is Trigue. This is Trigue. We call him father of MVC. He invented the concept of MVC. He developed the concept of MVC. And graphical user interface, character user interface, front end, back end. He developed that concept. And the architecture that he developed even today, we use in all advanced technologies. And actually, we have his original document. Means original what he written about that architecture, why he invented that back end, front end. Somewhere I have that. Where is it? Presentations only. MVC docs. Originals. This is the original document designed by Trigeo. He written this document, and in this document he explained why he developed this technology, means this document. So why he designed, what is its purpose. You see, uh, he taken an example of a project. He explained what is model, means how to keep data separately, how to write the logic separately, view means UI, user interface separately, and he designed how to handle the communication in a network. So he developed this original document. This is actually his original document. In his official website, I don't know whether it is still there now or not, but he written all this document in a handwritten script. Earlier it used to be in handwritten script. We converted that into PDF form. Handwritten document is the papers. Paper screenshots were there. His original papers. What he written about this architecture, he defined that. If you read this entire document, you will understand why front end, back end like concepts were invented. What was the necessity? What the problem if it was not there? So without that, how applications used to work early, you will get a clarity on that, right? This is his original document written by him. He explained all the scenario actual. And it was first developed by this Xerox. You know, Xerox is the first people who invented the concept of graphical user interface. Do you know? GUI, graphical user interface. They invented, Xerox company has invented. And after that, that idea was taken by two people. And who are those two people, do you know? Copied from Xerox. Originally, Xerox developed it. From them, who copied, do you know? Apple. Apple copied that GUI from the Xerox. And from the same Xerox, Bill Gates, Microsoft also copied the GUI. And they developed it fastly. Before world knows about Xerox, graphical interface, these two people were in the market releasing a good graphical interface. And Bill Gates was a step ahead than Steve Jobs in releasing it fastly, because all were at a time graphical interface. Xerox have a graphical interface, Apple have a graphical interface, Mac, and after that Windows have a graphical interface, but Windows grow in popularity very fast. That means, so in the graphical user interface, first place is Xerox. Who invented that? Xerox. Xerox invented that graphical user interface. And this is the basic point you need to know. Now, there are so many things about history, right? In the history, so many options are there. If you can watch the movie called Jobs, you know Jobs movie? Jobs is a movie on Steve Jobs. Is a movie on Steve Jobs. I think it is also Academy Award winner movie, right? Steve Jobs, his history, life history is taken as Jobs. You have a Jobs Hollywood movie you can watch, and where he got the idea of graphical interface, how they built the graphical interface. You will hear about Xerox. You will see clearly there about Xerox. So the main concept is cleanly separating everything. Cleanly separating everything. This is a brief history of what it is actually, right? Now, how to configure the classes? Let's see. So, configuring class. So, how do you configure class? You can configure using two techniques. Just like function, what is that? Declaration. Another one is what? Expression. You can have two techniques, declaration and expression. Declaration comprises of a class name. That means class name and members. That is actually declaration. So this is the declaration syntax. Expression comprises of a reference for class name. Expression comprises of a reference for class name. How do you write expression? Just like function. So we have constant name is equal to class. This is expression. And here you can have the members. That's how we define. You can have expression. Already in JavaScript, you learned what is difference between expression and declaration. What is difference? Expression is an assignment of class to a variable. That means if you define it with var or let, you can assign another class into the same reference. A reference can have multiple assignments. Different classes you can assign into the same reference if it is declared by using var or let. So that you can change the class in memory according to the situation. So that is declaration and expression. Already you know this same is possible in function also. Function also have a declaration and function also have an expression. Okay, this is declaration. Now, what you can have in a class? That means class members. Inside class, what we can have? Why to create a class? I told you already. So that we can reuse easily, we can extend easily, right? We can separate easily by using class. What are the members in a class? In a class, what we can have? What are the members in a class? So a class member can be any one of the following. A class member can be any one of the following. What are those? It can be a property, or it can be accessor, or it can be method, or it can be constructor. Only these four you can have in a class. Class members can be only these. A class member can be any of these following. A property or an accessor or a method and a constructor. So in a class, the class member can be this. So variables and functions cannot be class members. Variables and functions cannot be class members. This I will show you. You can have them in a class, but they cannot be class members. This is one important point to understand. So how do you configure the class? How do you define the class? Suppose you see, let's go in the calculator. In the calculator, I am defining a class name. So suppose class name is math arithmetic, suppose. Okay, arithmetic is the class. Inside this class, you cannot have a variable. You cannot have a variable. That means variable cannot be a class member. So you see now, it shows a message saying that a constructor or a method or an accessor or a property, only these are allowed in a class as class members. You cannot have a variable as class member. So in interviews, they ask why. Why you cannot have a variable as class member? You cannot have a function also. Function and function name, and you are trying this. It's not allowed. You cannot have a function also as class member. Why variables and functions not allowed as class members? Because variables and functions are immutable. They are immutable. So if they are immutable, then you cannot have them as class members, because class is a template. Template must have members which can be mutable. Mutable means they must able to change according to the situation. We will prove that point, that variables are immutable and they cannot change. We will show. We will see that point. We will understand that practically also. So class cannot have function or a variable as class member because they are immutable. Then how to store data and logic in class? For that we have other things. But here one interesting point is there. If anyone asks you question, can we have a variable in class? Yes, you can have a variable in class. What does it means? You can have a variable in class, but variable cannot be a class member. For example, I am giving var x equal to 10, not allowed, because variables are not allowed as class members. But inside this now, I am writing a print method. This print method is having variable. This is allowed. Now the question is, now is X class member? X is not class member. It is a member of which method? Print. That means X is not class member. So you should be very careful in understanding question. You know, these platforms, coding platforms like Lead Code, HackerRank, CodeChef, they test your logical skills, programming skills. You can solve problems from them. Their understanding problem, it will take one day for you. You can't understand what they are asking first. They confuse you in the question itself. You should be very careful in reading and understanding the question first. In MNC level interviews, the problem is by the time you understand the question, the time is up. That means what question they have given, to understand the question itself, it will take time for you. You should know and practice such concepts. Actually, if question is, can we have a variable in class? Yes, but variable cannot be a class member. What does it means? You have a variable in class, but not directly as class member. Class member, why you cannot have? Because they are what type? Immutable type. Can we have a function in class? Yes. We can have a function in class, but function cannot be class member. That means suppose inside this you write a function f1, it is allowed. It is allowed. Now is f1 a member of class? It is not member of class. Class members can be only four: the properties, methods, accessors, and a constructor. Only those four you can have. So you can have a variable and function in class, but they cannot be class members. They cannot be class members. This question is a little confusion. That is very important. Variables and function cannot be class members. So, but a class can have, but a class can have variables and functions. But a class can have variables and functions. Variables and functions. Variables and functions are variables and functions are what are the functions are immutable types. And the class member cannot be immutable. What is purpose of property, accessor, method, constructor? This is the point you are going to learn. Okay. Right. So the members of class can be a property or an accessor or a method or a constructor. Right. So already you have the answers, but the questions are little confusion. Can we define variable as class member? Answer is no. Can we define variable in class? Answer is yes. That is the point you should know clearly. Class members are the direct members of a class which it can handle. And others are not class members. Others will be the members of a method or inside. Now, what is the purpose of a property, accessor, method, constructor? How do we handle that? So how to configure these? So we need to understand the members of a class. What is property? What is accessor? What is method? Another one, constructor, right? That we'll see in next session. Tomorrow we will do that. We will discuss about the members of class, properties, methods, accessors and all. And today we are going to change the classroom code. And I will give the classroom code for online and offline people now. You have to join immediately and you cannot share with others, because if you don't join now, we will reset the code. You cannot join anytime. Right? So are you ready? Right? I will share a classroom code. Online people, I will share in the group chat box. Let me share the code. You have to join now. Because many people who don't attend classes from other batches and all, you are sharing code with other people, it's creating problem for the genuine people who are attending regularly. They are unable to join. So we will delete everybody. Huh? Online people also, please wait. We will share the code in the chat box. Don't join with multiple email addresses. If I see multiple email address of same person, we will delete both of them. Huh? Right. Yeah, offline people, please note down this and join. Notes is same classroom. We just changed the code and rejoining. Huh? Previously, you are having the notes in the same classroom, just code resets. Everyone joined? Same classroom, right? Every day what you are doing. But this time we are removing unnecessary people. Huh? Done? Everyone joined? Finish? Okay. Done? Huh? Right. Now the actual code is changed now. Okay. You can leave offline people. For online people, we will share another code. Okay. Yeah. Tomorrow we'll continue. Huh? Online people, please wait. Yeah, online people, if you're done, we will reset the code. We are resetting the code. You need to join immediately. So otherwise you cannot join later. You have to contact your course admin. He will share. Okay. Right. Thank you.